Bonjour everyone and welcome back to my channel The Waves of Your Soul. Today's video is gonna be my long overdue July and August 22 favorites. I know I have been a little bit absent, but we're gonna be talking about all of this. We're gonna be talking about all the things I've been enjoying in the months of July and August, my favorite books, favorite decks, of course, TV shows, all of that good stuff. I'm gonna give you a little life update and let's just have a good old catch up. So if you're new here, hi, my name is Marine. I'm a French tarot reader and a lover of everything tarot, oracle and self-empowerment related. On my channel, I love talking about tarot and oracle decks. It's a huge passion of mine. I also really enjoy posting tarot readings, pick a card readings, all around the idea of helping you to help yourself. So if you'd like to see any of the things on your timeline, make sure to hit the subscribe button, join the tide. I would love to have you, but of course, no pressure. So if you're new to these types of monthly favorites, I normally do them monthly. Hence the title. Today, like I said, we're grouping July and August in the description box. I'm gonna put the name of everything I talk about. TV shows, decks, tarot, oracle, everything that I'm mentioning, books or anything like that, it's all in the description box. I also do chapters, so if you just want to go to the deck category you can. If you want to watch all of it, thank you so much, I appreciate it. And so without further ado, let's get into my July and August favorites. Okay, you know the deal, my hair has a life of its own. Today is just a day where it's decided to go full on Medusa, so please excuse whatever this is trying to do. But let's start with life updates. So I want to start by saying sorry, first of all, for being a little bit absent in the months of July and August. I didn't post as much as I wanted to, and there are very good reasons for that. And that's because I went through a little bit of a health crisis, I guess you could say. For those of you who don't know, I've been navigating the waters of chronic illness and chronic pain for the last few years. I got really sick a few years ago, to the point where I've had to reconstruct my body from scratch, pretty much with the help of a lot of physical therapy. You know, I've had to learn how to walk again and how to use my arms again, and just a lot of things. So physical therapy has been very much my life. And in the month of July I got really badly injured. I'm trying to reduce my physical therapy more and more in the idea that I can get more and more independent. You know, my physios and I, we were trying to see if I could go without their help as much and as regularly, to see if I could try and be more independent in my daily life, and it didn't turn out too good. So that led up to this huge injury mass accumulation in July, which led me to have to completely regroup in the month of August and restart a new physio program with the help of my medical team that is back to being very intense, that is back to, you know, daily exercises and a lot of appointments all week long. My life now is very much back to physical therapy, going to the physio, going to the osteo, going to fascia therapy, all of the things that I do to try and help my body heal from everything it's been through in the recent years, and helping me to be more mobile and more independent and able to live a more normal life. And so that has completely changed my routine, and that has meant that all of the spoons that I've had have been going to that. You know, first in July trying to hold on while I was terribly injured and trying to recover, and it was pretty dire. A lot of the people I normally see to help me in those cases, they were on holiday, and I live on a small island, so there's not that many people who can help with my condition. Then in August, having to go back to a very intense physical therapy program. I had been getting a little bit more freedom in the recent months to do other things than physical therapy. As you could see, you know, I was filming a little bit more and I was just doing other things, living my life, you know. And so now having to go back to a more intense program, it means that a lot of my spoons are used up, and by the time I want to film, I can't, because I've had to use up all my spoons to do this, to do my exercises and to try and heal. So that definitely has been an adjustment. It's hard when you have been given a little bit of freedom to have it taken away. Again, I'm sure any of you who've been through illness or anything like that, you can relate when you feel like you're getting better and then you suddenly realize that no, it was too soon and you need to take some steps back and start again, not from scratch but from a few steps backwards. it can be a bit demotivating, I'm not gonna lie. So that's why I've been a bit absent in the months of July and August. That has meant that I have not had energy to film and even less post on social media and respond to my comments. I know I'm super late, and I've been also late in checking other people's videos and everything. And so I just want to say thank you so much for understanding, for being, still here, for being compassionate in the face of what I'm going through, because your support really means a lot, and I'm constantly getting messages of people who ask how I am and who are sending good vibes, and I really appreciate it. I know we're all going through something, so I never take it for granted, like your support and your kindness, so I just wanted to say thank you. Today is the first day I actually felt good enough to wear something else than my sports clothes and try and look a bit more human and film, so I'm super glad to be here, and I'm super excited to be talking about my favorites with you. I really want to talk about some life choice now, because even though the months of July particularly and a good chunk of August was not the easiest months for me, there definitely has been a wonderful highlight to this. That is Wales, and I know that was probably like unexpected. You probably didn't expect me to say Wales. But let me give you some context. I currently live, if you don't know, in Reunion Island, near Mauritius and Madagascar in the Indian Ocean. Every year around this time of year, so for our winter, which is July, August and September, because we're in the southern hemisphere, whales, specifically humpback whales, come from Antarctica to warmer waters around the Indian Ocean. So not just Reunion, we have, they come to Mayotte, Madagascar, the Seychelles, Mauritius. They come to our shores to warmer waters to find a mate, and then 1 year later to have their babies. And so we are blessed, truly blessed, with a beautiful spectacle from nature. And this year was the most amazing year for me in terms of whale spotting, whale watching. I grew up in Reunion, and then I came back here when I started to get sick, because I couldn't take care of myself. I needed to go back to my family to get help. So I've done a few whale seasons for sure. I've spotted my fair share of whales. But this year, truly, the numbers of them have massively increased, which gives me so much hope, because, as you know, the world is burning, and I feel like any good news around animals or nature, I'm always looking at that as a sign of hope, because we don't get that many. As a huge animal lover that I am, I did everything I could to go and see them and try and spot them as much as possible. Try and include some images here from a couple of boat trips that I took to spot some whales. You'll see what you see on the screen, because when you're on a boat with very choppy waters, it is hard to try and take any images, and I get caught up in the moment. I mean, I'm here crying because I'm seeing some beautiful whales teaching their babies how to swim, and it's just a very moving moment. So hopefully I'll still have some footage to show you. Honestly, the highlight of my months. You get to see mother whales coming to the shore, coming closer to the shore, and you see their babies, and the mothers teach their babies how to jump, how to breathe. In the first hours, the mother physically have to push their baby whale up to the surface so they can breathe, because they don't even know how to do that yet. And so I saw that, and it was just like so sweet. And then when the babies grow a little bit stronger throughout the days and weeks, they start to learn how to play, they start to learn how to jump, and it's just the most beautiful, humbling and magical experience to see those beings that sound and look like they're from another planet, and to see them so close to us. I was crying. Every boat trip I managed to do, I was crying, even seeing them from the shore. Sometimes if you sit by the shore and you wait long enough, you're gonna see them go past you, and it's just beautiful. One of my highlights, and this I know I definitely have some footage of, is that on one of the boat trip I took, there was some scientist there who was trying to take pictures and stuff to decipher which new ones were coming, trying to list them. And so they had this little mic that they put below the boat in the water. We could hear this particular whale speak to her calf, I think you say in English. Beautiful. So I'm gonna insert a little film here. Here, I was reminded of the magic of nature and the way of nature to get messages, not just through the card but through animal medicine. And the whales really truly for me coming up and showing up for me so many times, even like just me opening my window one day and one jumped in front of my window because I can see the ocean far away from my bedroom window. Just so this one jumped. So seeing them everywhere coming up again for me as messages, it was really a reminder that when we have been to the deepest and we feel like we are, navigating at the bottom of the ocean, we are gonna come back to breathe. We're gonna come back to the surface and we're gonna breathe and we're gonna play again. And so I've even done a little short video on YouTube, so I link that down below. If you want to see, I kind of like made a little montage of this one particular boat trip where we saw a lot of babies and a lot of baby planes, and it was just wonderful. Here's a postcard I got from someone who does a lot of underwater pictures here, and I really want to get a big print of this so I can put it here in my frame over my bed, because I just love whales. They bring me a lot of healing, they bring me a lot of guidance, and they were the perfect reminder for me whilst I was navigating all this change and difficult times and just having to readjust. They brought me a lot of comfort and a lot of hope and a lot of healing, and so I'm so grateful for them. I'm so happy that there were so much more this year than last year. It gives me so much hope that the world isn't a trash can on fire, at least not all of it. And I just wanted to share it with you. Hopefully you'll have seen some images here while I'm talking, and I hope you'll enjoy it. Okay, let's move on to TV shows. I have many TV shows to talk about. So the first thing I want to talk about is Stranger Things on Netflix. Who is watching? I need to know who are my fellow Stranger Things lovers here, because I really enjoyed this latest season. If you don't know, Stranger Things, it's a fantasy TV show on Netflix. It is based in the 80s and it follows this little group of kids who are all very much into Dungeon and Dragon, and they are very all about that fantasy life, and one of them discovers a way to go to the Upside Down, which is a world full of monsters, till suddenly the monsters start to find a way to come to our world, and so those little kids are becoming heroes trying to save the world that is America in the 80s. And it's funny, it is a bit horror, I'm not gonna lie. The first season I spent half of it hiding behind my fingers because I'm a scaredy cat. I get scared very easily. I have this mix of fantasy, humor, and a little bit of horror, and those kids are just so charming. Like, you just really end up falling in love with them, and it's just a TV show I really enjoy. So I'm sure a lot of you know what Stranger Things is, but if you don't know, I suggest you watch a trailer or something. Just be aware it can be a little bit scary, so maybe don't watch it with kids. Stranger Things Tarot Deck that is coming out. Is it out yet? I think it's coming out either September or it just came out end of August, and I'm tempted. But it's from Insight Editions, which we know is normally sometimes they do really good major arcana, but then the minor arcana they end up being a bit pippish and rushed. And I don't mind pip decks, but the ones I've seen, they really don't put that much effort into them. So I don't know. Am I gonna be still giving it a go? Probably, because I'm a fool. I'm a clown and I really like Stranger Things, but I need to watch some reviews. I haven't seen any yet. I really want to see some walkthroughs. The absolute highlight of the month of July for me, though, was the fact that France finally had a Drag Race season. So if you don't know, I'm a huge Drag Race fan. RuPaul's Drag Race is a reality TV. It's a competition between drag queens, and I've been watching it for years. My friends and I, we follow every season. We've been watching it, I think we started watching it was season 3, so we've been committed for a very long time, and since then we watched the first 2 seasons obviously, but we watch all of them. The Canada one, the Down Under one, the UK one. The more drag queens the better. I am fully supporting drag queen domination of the world, because I think the world would be a much better place. Because at least they're kind, they care about a lot more people than other people do, and more glitter and glamour. Who's not up for that? For France, we finally had Drag Race coming, and it was a wonderful season. For all of you, my Drag Race lovers, definitely check out Drag Race France, because it's subtitles. You can find it subtitled online. And it was aired on national French television, which I could not believe. It's just this traditional European country that's run by cis white males, and so never in my life when I was younger would I have imagined that it would be a drag queen competition show on national television on like a Thursday night or something. But here we are, and that makes me so happy because it just shows that at least in some ways the world is evolving, so that's good news. We're showcasing different type of drag, which I thought was really cool and very different from potentially the drag that we might see on the American version or the UK version. In my favorite TV show come to France and showcase some French talent, it was just amazing. Whilst I was stuck in bed, especially in the months of July where I couldn't do very much, my friends and I, we got into Love Island, the UK version. I don't watch the US version, maybe I should, although maybe I shouldn't because it's one a day and it's a big commitment. But while I was stuck in bed in the month of July, it was good because it's like you get an episode a day and I could actually follow because I didn't have that much other things to do. So if you don't know Love Island, it's absolutely trashy, the kind of worst and best kind of reality TV that you get to watch. I find reality TV sometimes a very good way to ground yourself. If you're feeling a bit too high up, a bit too, up in the clouds, watch a bit of reality TV. You're gonna come down to earth very quickly. Very quickly. There's different ways we can ground ourselves. Definitely hug a tree. Definitely stand up and imagine roots coming out of your feet. But watch a bit of reality TV and you're gonna come back to earth real soon. Trust me. Those type of silly reality TV where it's about people who are trying to find love and things like that, I enjoy watching as a way to improve my tarot skill. And it's the same thing I was doing when I was watching Love is Blind, all of those kind of shows where people are looking for love and it's about, are they gonna get together, are they not gonna get together, are they gonna stay together, is Brian liking Cindy and is he gonna cheat on Cindy, all of that shit. It's terrible, but if you want to practice your tarot skills, and especially your predictive type of readings, it's great, because you see the story evolving in front of your eyes, and you can pull cards as you're watching the episodes, and try to divine what's gonna happen next. Is Brian gonna cheat on Cindy, or are they gonna stay together till the final? Pull some cards. Why are they having an argument? What's at the bottom of the argument? Let's pull some cards. Why are those two girls fighting and why are they not getting along? What's at the root of the problem? Pull out some cards. Perfect exercise, and it's fun and it's lighthearted to hone on your predictive skills, on your tarot reading skills. People are on TV, so it's not like they don't want their stories to be known. So in terms of ethical things, I mean, the whole of the world is watching them anyway, so there's nothing wrong about us pulling some cards to try and find out what's going to happen in 2 episodes time. And you get to honestly see the thing evolve and see if your readings were matching up. And when you pull something and you don't understand, maybe you're gonna get it in 5 episodes time, like next week, and you'll be like, oh, this is why I pulled a Hierophant that time. And so that has been super fun for me. And the one deck I was using for my Love Island stuff was Tarot del Dios de los Tres, which I'll show in my deck category. But this deck is crazy, it's full of color, it's full of passion, and it felt very good and well fitted for readings about horny, immature, 20 years old British people on TV. Like, this deck was just having a lot of fun with me, and I had a lot of fun with it. So definitely, if you're looking for a fun way to do exercise with your tarot, you don't just have to be pulling a card a day. Just think outside the box. Have fun with your cards. That's what it's all about. Now, for the month of August, I have 2 TV shows I want to shout out. The first one, I know a lot of you watched it because we were discussing it in my stories on Instagram, which, by the way, if you don't follow me on Instagram, I suggest you do. Even when I'm not feeling great, it's usually where I give a little updates and share what decks I'm using and stuff on my stories, because I find that format quite easy. A lot of us were discussing in my stories how we've all been watching The Sandman on Netflix, which has been really good. So this is a TV show, I think it's inspired by Neil Gaiman's world, who did American Gods and a lot of other fantasy fiction books and stuff, from which some TV shows have been inspired. But the premise, I've never read the books, I don't know anything about the books, so I'm not a pro. I just watched the TV show The Sandman because I thought it was coming on Netflix and it was fantasy. Anything fantasy, I'm like, yes, sign me up, I'm here. I want to watch it, I want it, give it to me now. So the premise of The Sandman is that it follows the god of dreams, the Sandman, or Morpheus, who gets captured by some occult magician, very much in the vibe of Aleister Crowley and Waite and all of those, you know, English occultists from the time. They do a ritual and they capture a god, and the god they get is the Sandman, the god of dreams. And so while he's away, his kingdom, the kingdom of dreams, starts to deplete and fall apart. Nightmares are invading Earth. Things are going to shit, pretty much, in the world of sleeping, in the world of dreams. And so this TV show reimagined our worlds as if archetypes such as god of dreams or death or destiny are actually gods. They kind of turn those kind of concepts into gods. That rule us, that help us or hinder us. That's what I can say without trying to spoil you too much about what goes on next. And it tells a good story. I thought it was interesting. I particularly enjoyed the character that represents death, because as tarot readers, tarot lovers, we're familiar with death, right? We have a card that's all about death. And I really enjoy seeing how they have turned death into a person. I thought that was really interesting, especially because that person, I think, was going against the typical narrative that we see around death. So I don't want to spoil you, but that, just for that alone, I found that really interesting to imagine who death would be if they were a person. Finally, the last TV show, I told you there was a lot, I'm sorry, I'm trying to cram them in as quickly as possible, but the last TV show I want to shout out is a recommendation I got from one of you, so thank you so much, Moira from Page of Cups Tarot. I am so grateful for everyone who recommends to me books and TV shows and decks and stuff like that. Please, if you watch my favorite video and stuff and you're starting to get a hint on what I'm enjoying to watch or read or use, etc., feel free to send me recommendations. I love them. I've discovered so many cool stuff thanks to you, and this is one of them, which was Vox Machina on Amazon Prime. So this is an animation TV show, so unlike the other ones I've recommended, it is still fantasy inspired because I can't help myself. This is what I like watching mostly, and it follows this group of misfits, very strange combination of elves and orcs and magicians who band together as wannabe heroes. Who said this is inspired by actual Dungeons and Dragons campaign. Now, I don't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons, and I've never played it, I've never watched it, don't know anything about it apart from the few bits I've seen on Stranger Things when the kids play it. But it didn't stop me from enjoying the show, because actually they got their story from, what I'm understanding, famous D&D campaigns. Also, from what I understood, the TV show was fully funded by fans, like it was a crowdfunding TV show, which I thought was really cool. And the story was just brilliant. Now, I have to warn you, this is a very irreverent, slightly rude, in a comical way, show. So there's a lot of swear words, there's a lot of dying. Though it's animation, it's not for kids. Who gets their heads cut off, and their fuck word is thrown here, left and right and everywhere. And even worse words that even as a French person I would blush to say. So it's rude, it is, how can I say that? Irreverent, I guess, is the best way. But it can also be very deep, and the story can also be very moving. The characters are very funny, but also very, like, you get attached to them quite quickly. And it's just this interesting group of characters who shouldn't work together and who are the anti-hero, really, compared to the hero archetype. They're really not. They drink, they mess up, they make bad choices and bad decisions. But they still have friendships, and they still band together to fight monsters and try and make money along the way. So if you're fellow lovers of fantasy and you're looking for an animation show, check out Vox Machina. I really enjoyed it. It's on Amazon Prime. Thank you so much to Moira again for recommending it to me. I really hope they do season 2. I can't wait for it because it was a lot of fun. Okay, let's move on to YouTube. So that's fairly easy for me. My favorite of the months of July and August, maybe even for September, is all the VRs that I got to the tag I started, Good Mood Decks. It's a video I posted in July, I think. And so pretty much the tag Good Mood Decks is an invitation from me to you, to anyone who wants to use the hashtag Good Mood Decks to share the decks that make you happy, that put you in a good mood, whether it's tarot or oracle. you can share with us the decks that give you that oomph, that give you that burst of energy, that make you happy. I wanted to do this because I personally wasn't going through a super great time, and also generally speaking, as a society, as a world, I feel like this summer has been quite hard, especially like early July. There was a lot of news and stuff that was not necessarily happy. So it was the perfect way for us to band together and share some joy, because I find that there is a lot of power in shared joy. Seeing what makes other people happy make us happy, and it reminds us that wherever we are in the globe, whatever we believe in, whatever we do, whoever we are, we can come together in the sense of shared happiness, shared joy, in the sense of, by seeing what makes you happy, I understand you as a human being, and I'm reminded that we're all connected and we all want to be happy at the end of the day. And so I have been adoring all the VRs that everyone has done. Thank you so much. There has been so many, and I'm actually a little bit delayed, so I apologize if you've done a VR and have not yet commented, because I comment on all the ones that I watch. I promise I'm gonna get to it. It's just like I said, it's been a lot and I'm just getting my head out of the water, so I'm gonna catch up on all the VRs. But there's been so many replies. A lot of tarot tubers have done videos all about their good mood decks, so if you click on the hashtag, you're gonna see all the responses. I also have done a playlist on my channel where every time someone tags me in one of their videos, I add it to the playlist, so you can go there to check it out. And honestly, if you're having a bad day, I invite you to check out the good mood deck playlist, because it is, you know, a place of happiness where people talk about stuff that makes them happy. And it's been super funny to see how we all have very different tastes. For some people, creepy stuff makes them happy. For some people, cute stuff makes them happy. For some people, historical stuff makes them happy. And I love that. I think that's awesome. Let's talk about books. So the first one is the Tree Spirit Tarot by Laura Virtue's Water. Now this is actually the guidebook to the Tree Spirit Tarot. The deck that goes with it, I think you can get it either on Make Playing Cards or Printer Studios, one of those websites where you can print on demand. And then the guidebook is available on Amazon, and I got mine from Book Depository. Amazon doesn't even deliver in Reunion Island, so I get everything from Book Depository. It takes 4 to 5 months, but at least I'm getting it at some point. I don't actually have the deck that goes with this, and I was wondering if I wanted the deck, and so I decided, before I get the deck printed on demand from America, it's probably going to take like 6 months to 7 months to get to me, let me get the guidebook, because the reason really why I want the deck is to pull the cards and read the guidebook. Because if you couldn't tell by the title, this is all about trees. It's a tarot deck that was created about trees. And I wouldn't really use this tarot deck just for reading purely the Hierophant, the Page of Cups, etc. I would want to know what the guidebook says. So I decided, before to get the cards, to get the guidebook and figure out if I need the cards or if I just want to get the information that's here. And I found that that's been a wonderful resource for bibliomancy. If you don't know what bibliomancy is you get a book, any kind of book, a page at random, and you get your message right here. And this can be like a way you would pull a card, except this time you pull a page. Today we got the dragon tree, which is 5 of evergreens. For example, evergreens are wands, so today we got the 5 of wands. Hardwood trees are swords, nut trees are pentacles, and fruit trees are cups. So for every single card in this particular guidebook, you get an image, you get the name of the tree, you get the keyword, so here it's conflict, and then you get about a page and a half about what the tree was used for. Is it a tree where we use the wood? Is it a tree where we might use the sap? Or, you know, what is a tree known for? Is there kind of any mythology around the world or beliefs or anything like that that tie to this particular tree? Where is it situated geographically, etc.? And finally, you get a message and a challenge. Take a deep breath, and I open the page, and this is the equivalent of my card of the day. And I don't need the deck. Will I get the deck? Maybe, because I like cards and I like trees. I love trees. Trees are my favorite. So it's not impossible that eventually I will get the deck when shipping is a little bit less complicated. But for now, if you were thinking about getting the deck, and you're not sure, get the guidebook, because truly the most of the information is in this guidebook. And the cards are beautiful, and like I said, I probably will want to pick them up at some point, but this has given me so much beautiful information. And I even used this paired with my RWS, so I would pull an RWS card and then read the meaning from here. But I adore trees, I adore nature, and so I'm so glad I used this, and it really helped me all throughout the last couple of months to give me messages. Let me read to you the message we got today, which was, what was it, 5 of Wands, right? But here are the messages for if we were to pull the 5 of Evergreens, which is a dragon tree. This is a time to make peace with our inner demons, no matter how frightening they may appear, and that our wounded self is always longing to be understood and loved. Dragon Tree encourages us to see past our fear and into the future, when the conflict no longer exists. By connecting with this vision of peace, we are able to bring that vision into our hearts in the present moment. Seek out beautiful resolution that harm no one. Clear the air of any conflict, heavy energy, or misunderstanding. If these areas of your life are unintended, they can create stagnation, which blocks forward movement. Look for new and sustainable solutions for peace. And then the challenge of this card, or if you were to read it reverse, it says, avoiding conflict and pretending it will go away, or dealing with conflict by being combative and unwilling to compromise or practice compassion. Step out of the chaos to see the big picture and its long-term implications. Gave me a lot of info about trees, which I love. It actually has the inclusion of different trees that are local to me, because that's one thing I find very difficult when I'm working with decks or books about trees, is that most of the time they are based on wild trees and plants or even flowers that are more so northern hemisphere ones, and nothing wrong with that. That's probably where most of the majority of the audience is. But for me, who lives on a tropical island, it's like I don't see really maple and oak around me. That's not the kind of trees I have. But I have mango tree in the garden or avocado tree, and so to see those here, it was really nice because it allowed me to work with my, physical environment. The book I want to talk about is potentially one of my favorite books I've read this year, and it's just beautiful. It's called Belonging by Tokopa Turner, and if I could recommend any of you to get a book this year, I've recommended it to you Radically Content by Jamie Varren, which was, I think I talked about that in my last, I think it was April or May. Definitely that was a must. This one is also a must for me of book recommendation. This has been moving, this has been transformative, this has been healing, and this has just been one of those books that after I've put it down, I'm gonna think about for months to come. It has truly changed my spiritual practice. So the back of the book says, the world has never been more connected, yet people are lonelier than ever. Whether we feel unworthy, alienated, or anxious about our place in the world, the absence of belonging is the great silent wound of our time. Most people think of belonging as a mythical place, and they may spend a lifetime searching for it in vain. But what if belonging isn't a place at all? What if it's a skill that we've forgotten or lost? So in this book, Tokopa, who is the writer, uses stories, myths, and dream work, which is her specialty. She is specializing in dream work, to take us through this essay or this pondering and this poetry around what it is to belong. In this book, she shares the reason why we might feel like we don't belong, what is at the core of our wounds as a society, not just as an individual, but how as a society we've been, cast aside, and we've cast aside other people, and we've been setting people against each other, and how belonging truly is a competency, is that a word? I think so. A skill that could link us back to our ancestral roots, that could link us back to mythical stories, that could link us back to the ecosystem, our environment, the earth, walking in the sense of belonging through dreams, through myths, through storytelling, through community, through reconnecting with ancestral practices. All of those practices help us to find our place in the world. And I truly believe that one of the things that brings all of us together as human beings is the question, what am I doing here? We've all asked ourselves that, right? I think most of us anyway. Why am I here? What is the point of me here? What am I doing on this planet? in this book, even though she doesn't give you the answer, she shows that this is something that we've all pondered about, and that this is something we can all work towards embracing. This book talks about shadow work, it talks about dream work, it talks about spiritual practice such as connecting to your ancestral practices even when you don't know what they are, especially because this book can talk to anyone who feels like they don't belong because, for example, they've been relocated somewhere that isn't necessarily where their ancestors came from. This book talks about that. It talks about feeling like you don't belong because you're ill, because you have an illness or a disability, or because you are cast aside because of gender or your sexual preferences, or the fact that maybe you're an immigrant or anything like that. It talks about using pain as an ally. It talks about using dreams as gates to understanding what's going on in our life. It talks about our relationship to nature as a way to build connection, our relationship to community as a way to bring empowerment. And I'm not really sure how to explain this apart from the fact that it was so beautiful and so moving and so transformative. Highlighted with my pencil so many bits to reread and come back, and I've cornered so many pages because it's just so brilliant. One of my favorite reads. And one of my favorite parts, and I read you that, is that in there she shares an incantation, a poem, like a prayer to Mother Ocean, to the archetype, the goddess of the ocean, and it's so beautiful, so I want to share it with you. It's called Sedna's Signature, because Sedna is the Inuit mother of the sea. Great ocean mother, I call upon you to grace my shores. I make myself as still as sand, who knows the patience of millennia, having been ground down to my essential parts. I wait my turn at the edge of known things, that you might soak me with your rising swell. I wish for nothing but to be dislodged by your power, perhaps even carried into your depths, for the chance at a glimpse of your underlife. May I be taken into your possession, even for a moment, to know the absence of my gravity and participation in your rhythm and contractions. May my body be for what it was intended, an expression of your grace. And what small ways I make with this poetry, what song and friendships I form, what migrations and ripples I disturb in the world, may they have something of your signature in them. May the you that has touched me go on multiplying in your phenomenal mathematics until we are all suffused with awe at your vastness within us. Okay, let's talk about decks. Tarot and Oracle decks. I've been talking for like 1 hour already and we haven't even got to Tarot and Oracle. This is why I try and do my videos monthly, because I always have so much to talk about and share with you guys, so I hope you'll forgive me if this one is a little bit longer. I have a lot of decks to talk about. That's not a surprise, is it, for anyone who watches my videos? I'm a maximalist at heart, I'm not a minimalist. I wish I was. My fantasy self is minimalist, but I'm really not. So a lot of decks to talk about. Let's start with the Tarot del Dios de los Tres, because I've mentioned this in my TV show category, that I was watching reality TV and pulling cards from this deck as a way for me to train my intuition, train my tarot reading muscle, etc. This is a Fournier deck that my friends gifted me for my birthday this year, and it is full of personality, it is full of fire, passion. It's just a crazy little deck. It's a Fournier deck, so it's mass market. You can find it fairly easily on all your wherever you shop for decks. I talked about this deck in a couple of my videos. I mentioned it in my Good Mood decks because it was bringing me a lot of happiness. I mentioned it in my recent haul. Very fun to read with this deck. It is quite pipish, meaning that the minors are not fully illustrated with full-on scenes. For example, here we have the Nine of Pentacles. We don't see, like in the RWS, the woman and her falcon, etc. Here we see for the Nine of Pentacles, 9 pentacles, but we still get a lot of symbolism. We get the grapes, I guess they are, which is in line with the RWS. We get a heart and we get 2 falcon here who look a little bit like Horus to me, but also of course like the falcon from the RWS images. So Even though it is a pepish deck, you get a lot of symbolism here. The colors are full on crazy, very vibrant, very in your face. There's nudity in this deck, there are erected male organs in this deck. There's influences from Hindu mythology, Japanese mythology. There's a lot of animals in this deck, and it's just a good time all round. Some cards are confusing for sure, like definitely some when I was pulling them, because it's so different, it's so unique, and it does its own thing so much. It's unlike any deck I have. Some of the cards can be a little bit hard to read with because I can't fall back on my comfort zone and my knowledge of tarot. But that's what's been fun, to expand my comfort zone, to see how those images can be applied to my tarot readings. And because I've been using this while watching reality TV and stuff like that, it was a great way to get familiar with this deck and understand how it was speaking to me through not just tarot meanings, but through colors, symbolism, which animals are present, what do they do. I wish the guidebook gave more explanation, because the guidebook is kind of like those Los Scarabeo guidebooks that give you tarot meanings regardless of what's on the card, and that's not always helpful, because I want to know why, for example, I have an octopus on my 8 of Pentacles. Why is that artistic choice here? I can understand intuitively why the octopus is there, but I wish we had the artist's intent written down. Can be a bit confusing, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend this deck for beginners unless you get called to work with it, and then of course follow your gut. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just saying that it definitely departs from any traditional deck, it's Marseille or RWS, and so for that reason, be prepared to get your mind blown a little bit, be prepared to be confused sometimes, but still be prepared to have a good time. For half of July, I was still really enjoying the Telesma Tarot, which is an indie deck, paired with the Unshakable Inner Oracle cards, which is a mass market oracle. I talk about them in length in my May favorites, so if you want to see them, go and watch that video. I'll put it in the cards. But this combo followed me in the month of, no, I think in June, sorry, June favorites. So I leave it in the cards, but this combo followed me for July as well. I love this. This is definitely one of my highlights of the year, so check out my June faves if you want to hear more about those decks. I need to give myself a little bit of a challenge, totally inspired by Angie over at A Cup of Tarot on Instagram. So hi Angie, if you're watching. If you are not following her on Instagram, you definitely should. I will leave her Instagram page below. So definitely go check out Angie's page and tell her I say hi. And also check out Maura's page, who gave me the recommendation on my TV show, and I'll also leave the link to her Instagram below. And also please tell her I say hi. So, go and say hi to all of my friends. But Angie was doing this thing where she was using Wisdom of the Shadow Oracle, which is an indie deck I don't have, and taking one card a day and using that card as a starting point for creating a spread. And I was like, I need to do that with Reclaim. So if you don't know what Reclaim Oracle is, here it is. In all its glory. This is an indie deck, an indie oracle deck, very popular in the tarot community for good reason, because it's amazing. It was created by a French person. I'm not saying it's amazing because it was created by a French person. I'm not that biased, but the deck is in English, and this is a deck that is dedicated to exploring our emotions, the positive emotions, even though I don't like those binary terms, and the negative emotions, I guess we could say light and shadow. So you'll have cards that represent things like betrayal and mistrust and shame, but you'll also have cards that represent joy and celebration and pride and things like that. So this is a little deck that is full of power, but that can also be quite daunting to use. And I've had this deck for, I'd say, a year. Maybe it's been even more than that, I can't remember. But I was realizing that I was getting the same cards over and over, and that there were some cards here, and there's a lot of cards here, so there's like 80 cards that I was never getting. And so, inspired by the wonderful Angie, I decided to do this thing where when I was feeling like it, because that's the key, what I'm about to tell you is a practice that can be extremely draining. And so you have to take your time and you have to listen to yourself and you have to be gentle with yourself. This is not a race. You do it on your own time, and listen to yourself, be kind to yourself. That's the most important thing. But I decided to take I shuffle and I pick a card asking myself, what is the emotion I need to look at right now? What is the emotion I need to dig and jump into and delve into right now? And I'll pick something, and we have regret. Great. Love that for me. So I would put the card regret, and from there I would be creating a custom tarot spread on the go. So for example, once I've put a regret card, I would pick a tarot deck and I would put a card around, how is regret showing up in my life right now? What is regret here to teach me? How can I listen to what it has to say more? How can I release the regret in my life and move on? Is there anything I'm not seeing? Pull a card for all those questions until I feel like I've really given myself a good landscape around how regret is present in my life right now. This kind of work can be triggering, especially if you take the time to really sit with the card and to journal about it if you're able to. You don't have to, because I know how difficult journaling can be, physically, emotionally, etc. So you do you, again. You can just be like pondering, and you don't even have to write it. But if you want to write it, when I was able to, I would. When I wasn't able to, I wasn't. It's fine, it works the same. This kind of work is what I would call shadow work, because it allows you to explore how certain emotions are present in your life. It's going to make you look at ways maybe that you're not aware. In this case, regret is present. Some of the cards you might pull and you're like, I don't feel that at all right now. Like, I don't feel regret at all right now. But then you start to pull some tarot cards and you start to dig deeper, and maybe this is because it's bringing up a particular memory of your life that is having a resonance with your current life, and so you're going to explore potentially that memory and do some tarot reading around that, or journaling or pondering or anything like that. There's just a lot of power around this practice. I think I'm going to do a video around how I'm using Reclaim, because I've got a lot of different ways. And I was talking to my friend about it, who also got Reclaim, and she was like, you should do a video about how you use it, because it would be helpful. And so I think I might do that. Let me know in the comments if you're interested, because I can share more. I can give you proper examples, and I have other ways to pair it, other ways to work with it and things. So let me know if that's interesting to you. But all in all, in summary, in the months of July and August, I started doing that. So pick a card and explore it, and when I'm done, I put it below the in the box under the guidebook. There's a lot of cards, and I think I got through like 15. There's like 88. 15 in a month and a half. It's not fast, as you can see. It's not one a day, but that's because some days you don't feel like it. Some days you're just not in the mood to do that kind of work, and that's okay. If you feel called to use your oracle like that, where you want to do a deep exploration of each card, don't feel like you have to rush through it. Take your time, and you can do this with any oracle where you want to really work through each card. I feel like Reclaim works particularly well for that, but once I'm done with that, which will probably be like 2023 or 24, I have a lot of other oracle decks I want to do that with. So the two decks I was using to pair with Reclaim in the month of July, August, to do this particular journaling / introspection work. We have the Vox Arcana Tarot by Los Scarabeo. This is a mass market deck. I've talked about it in my recent haul. It is a collaborative deck, which means every card was done by a different artist, and it's my only collaborative deck. I don't normally vibe with decks that are done by different styles, different artists, because normally I find that the artwork is too different and I can't get into the deck. This is the exception that confirms the rule. This is the only collaborative deck that works for me, because the intent behind it was very specific. The way that they decided to create this deck was that each artist would create a card in the idea of being an instrument or a voice, Vox Arcana, the voice of the arcane, the voice of the secrets, right? a voice towards an orchestra. So the deck as a whole sings like an orchestra because the intent behind it was that each artist would be like a different instrument or a different voice, adding to the communal voice of this deck. There's not necessarily a lot of music reference in the deck, in the images, but in the guidebook, some of the artists have listed music, songs and stuff like that they listened to when they were creating their particular cards, so that's awesome. The way the guidebook is written has an idea around music and people coming together to sing, and overall the feel is very fantasy, so it's right up my alley. And the cards look really nice together, they are really good reader, and even though it doesn't really go with Reclaim in terms of physically speaking, I found the idea of a deck that is supposed to be many different voices coming together. It really helped me to look at where do I fit, where is my voice in this, and how can I work with all of those different creators to help me do my shadow work journey. So I really enjoyed working with this deck for this particular purpose. I found it a great reader. I've used this deck for doing also more day-to-day readings, and it reads really well because it's RWS inspired, which is my preferred system. Although it's not a clone, like people have taken, you know, artistic creativity and they do their own thing. This to read with my Reclaim project was really useful. Like I said, it didn't really look the best together. I don't really do pairings based on aesthetic, to be honest. I do pairings based on the vibe I want to get, and this was the right vibe at the right time for me. Another deck I used with Reclaim was the Crow Tarot by MJ Cullinan, which is another mass market deck. This almost got the chop. I did a declutter in August where I went through my Tarot and Oracle deck collection and I put some for sale and put some on the side around just decks I feel like I don't really resonate with anymore, I don't reach for them that much. And this was in my purgatory box, meaning it was in the box of I'm not sure if I want to keep it, so I need to work with it a little to figure it out. I hadn't managed to connect with it as much as I wanted to because I realized I don't have crows where I live, which is a bummer for the Crow Tarot. We don't have crows in Reunion Island. And so I was like, I can't connect to that energy. But then I watched The Sandman on Netflix. If you don't know, watch my TV show category previously in the video. I invite you to, you'll understand. In The Sandman, Morpheus, the god of dreams, has crows as his familiars, so as messengers that can travel from Earth to the other planes, the other worlds. Because crows are supposed to be in mythology the animals that can travel through different worlds. And that somehow suddenly made me look at this deck completely different. So don't underestimate what you're consuming, even if it's like TV shows or books or anything like that you feel it doesn't have anything to do with tarot. It can still influence your practice. The way that they were like sharing how in this particular TV show the crow was the animal that could travel between the planes and deliver message from spirit, suddenly something clicked between me and this deck. And I was not looking at this deck in the sense of I don't have crows where I live, so I don't feel like I can use it. I was looking at it as those are messengers from spirit, those are messengers from source, the divine, whatever you believe in. Even it could be your higher self, something bigger than you. And as the moment I decided to approach this deck with this in mind, it completely changed the kind of readings I was getting, it completely changed the kind of messages I was getting, and it really transformed the relationship I had with the deck. And suddenly it was singing, it was making so much more sense, it was really speaking to me. Whereas before it felt like crickets. It was like, it's a beautiful deck, it's RWS, I can read it, but there was no magic behind it. It was just feeling like blend. Now I finally had its flavor, if that makes sense. So using this to pair with Reclaim, because even though again it doesn't really go together aesthetically speaking, in terms of the messages it was delivering me, it was very powerful, very on point. The way I looked at this was getting messages now from either your higher self or something bigger than you. So when I'm working with my emotions and I'm struggling to see why am I having this emotion right now and why am I not able to move on from it, asking for help from something bigger than you can help, because you're getting a bird's eye, wink wink, pun intended, point of view. You're getting another point of view. So I looked now at this Crow Tarot as a way to get messages from, like I was saying, something bigger than me. Also as a way to connect to bird energy in general. It's quite funny because in terms of synchronicities, as soon as I started using this deck, I was seeing birds everywhere all the times. There is now those two little birds that pretty much a week after I started using this decided to make a nest in the tree that is literally right in front of my bedroom window. So now I can see them like living their best life, and they made their nest right here, even though this tree has been there for years and there's never been a nest in it. Now there is. So you know, those kind of synchronicities. I feel like this little deck helped me to connect with this particular energy. I was getting a lot of synchronicities with little bird friends, and also as a reading deck, purely without all the extra synchronicity stuff, I realize it's a really good deck, whether you have crows that live near you or not. It does work for me. So I'm glad I gave it another go. There was decks that I tried to use that just didn't work, but this did, and this is totally safe now. I don't see myself parting with it, because now I have a bond with it. I quickly want to mention Le Tarot Grunge, or the Grunge Tarot. This is a mass market French edition of a deck that exists in English mass market as well. The box might be slightly different in English, but the images are the same. In France, we are a bit extra. So the box is like this, and then inside you get another box, a box inside the box. So magical. Here you have the tuck box with the cards in it, and here you have the guidebook, which is actually quite chunky. I want to mention it quickly. I've talked about this in my recent haul, so if you want to see more images you can. But this is a really cool deck that I found randomly in the bookshop when I went there after I went through all my injuries and I was feeling a bit down, and I was like, I need some endorphins. So I got a couple of books and a couple of decks, and this was one of them, and this has been really fun for a day-to-day reading. I haven't really found this to be the most profound deck in terms of connecting to spirit or speaking to my ancestors or anything like that, but it's been a great deck for day-to-day reading, practical readings. It's inspired by the grunge music current, so you're going to see a lot of influence from that, not just in the cards but in the guidebooks. Some songs are mentioned, offering you to listen to some of the songs that inspired the deck. Someone that did a playlist on YouTube. If you type Grunge Tarot on YouTube, you can find a playlist of all of the songs that inspired all the cards, so that's super cool. You can listen to that while you do some card reading, which I've done, and that was a fun experience. I really enjoyed that after I was done using the Tarot del Dios de los Tres for day-to-day readings, practical readings, readings around the material world. I love the colors. The color palette is very unique. It's like pistachio, turquoise, and this kind of like salmon. When you say those colors together out loud, it shouldn't work, but it does. I will say grunge music, it was happening in the 90s, and a lot of the artists, they were going through a lot. They were not necessarily mentally having the best time, and so there is some influences of drug use and potential also mental illness in the deck that you just need to be aware of. If it's something that triggers you in any way, that you don't like seeing in your cards because it's too close to home or something, then maybe it's not the deck for you. But for me, I found that very beautiful because it shows vulnerability, it shows rawness, and I think that grunge tarot, the grunge movement, grunge music is very raw. It's like raw emotions. It shows vulnerability and power and emotions. You know, those singers, they were not afraid to tell us that they were not having a great time, that they were suffering and that the world was shit. And so there is a lot of that in the deck. There's a lot of joy as well. There's a lot of fun things, like the chariot is a guy riding a bus and they're both high. It's great. So there's like two sides to this deck, but I just wanted to mention it in case you're interested in purchasing it or whatever. Watch a full walkthrough and make sure. I bought the deck completely unseen. I never normally do that. I never buy a deck without watching a walkthrough normally, because I hate finding out later that there's a card I don't like and I wasted my money, which is why I love YouTube channels who show us decks that come out, because for me it's super helpful in making decisions whether I want something or not. This one was a complete spontaneous purchase, but I don't regret it. It was a good one, and I'm glad I listened to my intuition. In that same trip I did to the bookstore when I bought the Tarot Grunge, I also bought l'Oracle des Sister Astro, which is another mass market oracle deck. I also talk about it in my deck haul, so I'll leave that video down below if you want to see more pictures. This is a mass market deck. It retails for 25 euros. Complete random purchase, which I don't do very often in terms of buying a deck without seeing it. It opens like this. Here you have the cards. On the other side you have the guidebook, and it came with a little pouch, which I already took to use with another deck because I am low on pouches, guys, and this is starting to be an emergency. Here are the backs, and they say Sister Astro. I hate them, to be honest. The backs are not great. I don't like this. It's kind of ugly, and it has that kind of cheap gold edging that we French people love because we put it on every single deck we can. And the cardstock is not the best. I'm really doing a great job at you know, telling you what the deck is. Like, the backs are shit, the cardstock is shit, the edging is shit. It's not shit, it's just not the best. But I love the cards. I love what they say, I love what they look like, so I can get over it. I can get over the shitty cardstock, I can get over the ugly backings, because I love the vibe of the deck. This was created by Sister Astro, which is an Instagram account, who they are half French, half Californian. So some of the cards are in French and some of the cards are in English, but the guidebook is in French. And as you can see, it's very simple, the look of it. It's like a background that looks kind of like 80s, 70s vibes. Some of them have symbols, some of them just have text, and then the guidebook goes into more details as to what the message is. But there is something about this deck that it just works. I don't know what it is, I don't know why, because it's so simple and so stupid. It looks stupid, but it works, it really does, and I'm obsessed with this deck. I can't put it down. It has helped me with so many questions I had, and I couldn't pinpoint what it was, by just sometimes just even the sentence that is on the card, and I don't even need to read the guidebook, and I'm so happy I got it. I paired with Le Tarot Grunge. It's actually a lot of fun. It's actually a lot of fun paired with any kind of like my colorful decks, such as a Groovy Weight or the Kitty Kahani and stuff like that. The guidebook is really good. You get you don't get any pictures or anything of the cards in them, but you get a message for each of the card, and the messages are all geared around self-empowerment, and there are references to astrology in it vaguely, but it's more about being a boss person and being the best version of yourself, and you've got this, girl. This is truly like a best friend in a deck. This is gonna give you that oomph. It's gonna be like, yes girl, get it, you know, that kind of vibe. I love the fact that half of the cards are in English and half of the cards are in, well, maybe not half, I haven't counted, but you know, just a way of speaking. Some of the cards are in English, some of the cards are in French. I love that, because obviously I can speak both, but I think even if you don't speak French, you can enjoy it, because honestly it's just one sentence, super easy to translate, and then the guidebook, the text is there, the messages are quite short, so it would be easy to translate as well. And this I found also a great spread starting point. So I would pull a card. For example, this one says, who are you? And then I can create a tarot spreads around that. Who am I? Who do I think I am? Who I really am? How other people think I am? Things like that, you know, you can delve deeper into this just one card. Can be a starting point for creating a tarot spread, or maybe journaling prompt or something like that. So there's a lot of different ways you can use this, and I've really enjoyed it. So we're nearly finished. I just wanted to give a quick shout out, a quick sneak peek into what's gonna be for sure part of my September favorites. I received it 2 days ago and I'm obsessed. And it is the Flow Tarot. The Dreaming Lotus is the name of her Etsy shop. Be prepared for tarot orgasm in 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! Oh my god, can you see those backings? It's literal waves, waves, waves. For my channel, the waves of your soul. My name is Marine. This is like everything I adore. I love this deck so much. Like I said, I've had it for 3 days, and so I don't want to put it fully in my August favorites because it's a bit unfair, but be ready to see it in my September favorites. It's a photo deck, so photography, and it's only about water, the water element. Only about water in all its form, in the form of snow and ice, in the form of the ocean, in the form of clouds and rain. So it's a picture deck, it's nature photography, and all about water, and it's like, I can't tell you how amazing this is. I'm obsessed. I've put every deck I own on the side for the last 3-4 days, and this is gonna be my September deck, so I wanted to give it a quick shout out. Be ready to see a lot more of it next month. So my friends, this is it. This was my epic July and August favorites. I feel like I've been talking for 2 hours, probably have. I've got a lot of editing to do if I want to make this somehow not too long for you. I hope it won't be too much. Try and not have to crunch 2 months together again. It's just I had to go with the flow and had to listen to my body, and it is what it is, right? We can only do the best we can. I'm trying my best to manage this channel whilst navigating everything I'm navigating. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much again for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your kindness and your support. Let me know what you've been enjoying in the last couple of months. What were your favorites? Tarot, oracle, books, whatever. If you've got any things you're like, Marine, you need to check it out, let me know as well. I love to hear from you. And until my next video, I'm sending you so much good vibes, and keep navigating the webs of your soul. Bye!